Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I am John, that's my cohort in commentary, Ashton, and this is our Monday Night Raw review. Yes, this was the post-Survivor Series Raw, and we've already got a little bit of a direction going into TLC as far as one feud is concerned, and yet some surprising angles were teased here tonight. Some developments were still left up in the air. We know now when we can expect a new day, so I'd say this is a pretty rich Raw, and I gotta say, for me, I really enjoyed it. What did you think, Ashton?
I really enjoyed this Raw. This was a really solid episode. No complaints on my end, but speaking of complaints, we have a segment for that.
Absolutely. Heat of the night. And I can proudly say that I have no heats of the night tonight. What about you, Ashton?
Absolutely. Same here.
Excellent. So with that said, because on pay-per-view weeks, we don't do SmackDown recaps, that means we can get right into our Monday Night Raw review, and the more things change, the more they stay the same, because we open up with the Authority.
Yeah, but this time we didn't get a 20-minute promo. This one was only 10 before they got interrupted.
That is true, and what did they say in that 10 minutes, you might be asking? Well, Stephanie was quite distraught. I mean, the fans in Indianapolis were just raining boos down on the Authority. Stephanie says, I hope you're all proud of yourselves. You're nothing but bullies, she calls them. And she does blame Sting. Sting does get mentioned a lot, not just in this promo, but throughout the night, all things considered. And says Sting, cost them everything. She's really getting emotional. It looks like she's about to lose it before Triple H takes the reins.
Takes the reins?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were talking about Triple H and not that Roman guy.
Oh, yeah. So he gets on, and he pretty much says, does this make you happy seeing us like this? Crowd starts doing big yes chants, and he says, be careful what you wish for, because you're gonna find that you're gonna beg for us to come back, because this will not last without us. Also worth mentioning, he does take a pot shot at Sting here. Says he has no idea why, quote, Sting put his painted face in our business. Maybe he just wanted to know the feeling of getting in the ring with Triple H and making his career relevant for 30 seconds. Ouch.
Yeah,
so,
that was a low blow.
Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about that, dude, because I get that you want to be the heel, and they're probably building tension potentially for a Triple H Sting match at Mania, and I don't even want to begin traveling down that rabbit hole right now, but I just feel like there could have been a better way to say that. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you agree then. It wasn't just me, because that made me kind of uncomfortable. So, yeah, Triple H pretty much says, it's fine. Have your fun. Have your cake. Eat it, too. But just remember that we make Ryback, John Cena, Dolph Ziggler, we make all those things that you wanted so badly possible in the first place, and we give it 3 weeks before this whole thing goes under. And they try and leave, but it turns out a certain somebody won't let them go quietly, Ashton.
And that somebody is a returning Daniel freaking Bryan.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Daniel Bryan comes out to a big pop. And by the way, I got to give Indianapolis credit. They were hot for the really big parts of this show.
Yeah.
And Daniel Bryan was no exception here. They greeted him with open arms very strongly. And he's yesing all the way down the ramp. He gets in the ring. I think he does a little bit of yesing on the apron beforehand. Gets in Triple H's face. Yeses in his face. Then he looks to Stephanie, does the same thing. They still try and leave, cuts him off at the pass, keeps yesing right in there. I thought, Stephanie would slap Bryan because Triple H just wasn't having any of it. He was just trying to leave. And then when Bryan turns to Stephanie, she's just so distraught, so broken, she can't even, in your words, Ashton, muster a slap to Bryan. And they both just leave with their tails between their legs, and Bryan has just got the biggest grin on his face.
Yeah, he's ecstatic. He's loving every minute of it. And we actually find out, well, of course we go to commercial, but when we come back, he's still yesing the night away. But we do end up finding out that he is our special guest Raw GM tonight. So I guess we're gonna play a little bit of GM roulette for the next month or two while they figure out where they want to go with that spot on the card.
Absolutely, and in your words, GM roulette, I think, starts out in a very strong way, because Brian gets on the mic, says it feels so good to be in this ring after so long. Crowd again pops big for that. Brian says, John Cena, or I guess it was the board of directors, put him in charge tonight. So with this little bit of power he has, he doesn't want to waste any time. He calls out the entirety of Team Authority. He starts first with Seth Rollins. And he makes perfectly clear to all of them, hey, I'm not a spiteful guy. I'm a fair human being. I'm a just human being. And you're going to see that I'm going to treat you all fairly. So he starts with Seth Rollins and he says, hey, under the old regime of the Authority, you were used to wrestling handicap matches. 3-on-2, 4-on-2. Well, tonight, Seth, the good news is it's not going to be any different, because you and your two partners will be going in a handicap match 3-on-2 against John Cena and Dolph Ziggler. Now, Seth Rollins does cut Brian off here, says, hey, well, first of all, let's get something straight. I am still the future of this company. And then his second point being he's a little perplexed by Brian's altruism here, by his kindness towards the heel Seth Rollins, and he's thinking, well, who are you going to shag me up with? Who are my partners? And Brian says, oh, Seth, that's not my decision. I'm leaving that to them. And the crowd gets all excited for it. And he says, and you can vote on the WWE app, probably the greatest shilling ever, for who Seth is going to team with, because you have a choice of Mark Henry. I think it was Mark Henry and Rusev was one option. Or no, Mark Henry and Kane was one option. Option B was Mark Henry and Luke Harper. And then option C was Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble, the security force. And the crowd popped big for all that. Seth is just losing it because he knows the situation. He's going to be boxed in. So he takes his security and he's like, come on, get out of here. And then, he's really frustrated. Then he goes to, I believe he went to Luke Harper next. And, pretty much pairs him in an Intercontinental Championship match against Dean Ambrose. I was certain it was going to be either Eric Rowan or Ryback, but Dean Ambrose gets an Intercontinental Championship match tonight. Then he moves on to Kane, and Ashton, I'll give you the ball for this one, buddy.
Well, I mean, everyone's sick of corporate Kane anyway, and apparently so is Daniel Bryan. So he, being the fair and just GM that he is, rather than making a snap judgment call on the spot, he leaves it to the WWE Universe. He asks them if he should remain the, Director of Operations. Yeah, it came to me right as you were saying it. The Director of Operations, and the crowd unifyingly says no. So, of course, that means that it's not going to stick around. So Daniel Bryan says, congratulations, Kane, we're changing your label from the Director of Operations to the Director of Food and Beverages. And instead of Corporate Kane, he's now going to be known as Concession Kane.
It's a great promotion for him, I think. I think it really quite suits him. And Kane goes to the back looking all dejected. Then we get to my personal favorite. We get to Rusev. And, Daniel Bryan says, really we see Rusev coming out here week after week, United States champion, but he always runs the United States into the ground. He praises the glory of Russia and he always badmouths the United States. Well, tonight it's going to be different, because we're going to give Rusev two choices. And he tells Rusev, you can either defend your United States championship in a company-wide battle royal, and the winner of that battle royal will be the United States champion, or you can come down to this ring and you can recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, Lana and Rusev are freaking out. And Lana, before she walks to the back, all huffy and disappointed with Rusev, says, you're disgusting! And they go to the back. She just was so pouty, it was almost adorable. And then finally, Mark Henry's getting to leave in tow with Rusev. He's like, well, I guess I get off scot-free. But Brian's like, no, Mark. You don't go anywhere. I got something for you, too. Because, see, I had a certain big guy ask me a favor. He wanted to avenge a WrestleMania loss that you handed him 2 years ago, and he asked me if he could have a match with you tonight, and I said yes, because, that's kind of my thing. And so we find out that it's going to be Ryback versus Mark Henry tonight. And Daniel Bryan says that's because that's what he does, which I thought was hilarious. And he says, oh, by the way, Mark, that match is going to happen right now. So.
Yeah.
Bryan was great here. It was great to see him back in the WWE ring, and he really had a lot of personality in that promo. Mocking Mark Henry, taking his catchphrases, doing everything. With Corporate Kane, he even made like a Dr. Shelby reference. So Daniel Bryan was kind of oozing charisma to me in this opening segment. I really enjoyed it.
I don't know if Daniel Bryan necessarily got better on the mic, but he's just so endearing that even if he's not the best on the mic, it's hard to really poke and prod and be like, oh, you screwed up, because even if he would screw up, you would just kind of be like, oh, that's adorable. It's okay. I forgive you, Daniel.
Exactly. He just has that kind of personality. I think that was well said.